Many of you have been working with the Kabbalah. Sphere number 6 is dedicated to the sun. The sun is represented in angel magic by the Archangel Michael. This sphere represents for us the solar light. Many ancient religions believed that the sun was a god, and they worshipped the sun as a deity. And many regarded the sun itself to be the Almighty God. It's clear that the sun does give life to our world. And primitive people didn't understand that the sun would return every day, or that we actually are revolving around the sun, that the phenomenon of daytime versus nighttime was something that was just natural. They believed that the sun left every day, and they didn't know if it would return again. And so many of these ancient cultures developed rituals to entice and ensure the sun's return every day. And then the sun did return every day, so the people believed that their rituals were successful. They believed that it was a type of science. These rituals were performed regularly to prevent the sun from staying away at night and to make sure that it came back every morning. The fact that the sun did return each morning was seen as proof of the efficacy of their magic. We agree with psychologists that this type of magical thinking is unhealthy, but the term magical thinking itself is misleading. In our vernacular, we wouldn't call it magical thinking, we would call it superstition, because we define magic differently than clinical psychologists. Superstitious thinking, as we call it, supports illusions and delusions. It is unscientific. Magic itself, when performed properly, is very scientific and not superstitious. So I want to talk a little bit about the solar light today, but before we do that, I want to just review a few magical principles to make sure that we're all on the same page. Everything in the manifest world results from thought. Everything in the manifest world is caused by something invisible, and that includes you. Our physical body in this three-dimensional world is not our true self. Instead, we live in a non-physical world. In Kabbalah and the Psalms, this is called heaven. And it just means the invisible world, the world of cause. That's where we exist as souls. That's our true home, is the invisible world. And we live there right now. If somebody amputated your arm, God forbid, you wouldn't stop being, right? You wouldn't stop existing. You're not bound by every part of your body to exist. No, you exist in an invisible realm, and you exist through this body in this world. But we recognize that the individual soul survives the body. Many of us have proven that to ourselves by astral projection. Understanding that leaving the body completely doesn't change our identity. We don't stop being ourselves just because we've left our body. For many occultists, magicians, and witches, that's proof that we survive our body and that we are invisible creatures existing in a visible world. And we would say that our soul is an extension of the creative principle itself. And the image that we tend to use is a sunbeam to the sun. Just like a sunbeam is connected to the sun because it's an emanation of the sun, so is your soul connected to the creative principle and is an extension of that creative principle. So as the source thinks, so are you. We could say that you are an idea in the mind of the infinite. That is why the Psalms say, "Ye are gods." We are of the same essence of God. Everything in our manifest world thus results from these thoughts. In the manifest world, we believe that things are separate. Three-dimensional reality requires separation in order for things to be defined. A table is a table because everything else is not the table. Your hand is a hand because it's not everything else. Negative space, thus, is just as important as positive space in the three-dimensional world. Separation creates form following the rules of three-dimensional existence. Living in this world means experiencing separation, which is why it's described as an illusion. Separation is a construct to experience this dimension. Ancient spiritual teaching suggests that it's a mistake to consider the three-dimensional world as the ultimate reality. It is a reflection of the higher dimensions. We exist not in this physical realm, we exist in the spiritual realm. The Hermetic sciences teach us as above, so below, meaning that every form in our world has a counterpart in the invisible realm, or an astral double, and that includes ourselves. Magic alters things in the physical world by transforming them in the realm of the invisible world, allowing the physical changes to manifest naturally. Going back to this primitive belief that the sun was God, they misunderstood that the sun, from our three-dimensional perspective, is physical. So like a human body or an animal body, the sun itself as a physical being is not creative. The belief that the sun was God stemmed from thinking a physical body could be creative. Ancient wise people, however, taught that unlike the masses who performed these rituals to keep the sun burning, that while the sun is the giver of life to our world, it is not God. The Magi of old taught that the sun is a disk of light that conceals the face of God, or God looks through the face of the sun. Many ancient teachings suggested imagining the night sky not as a collection of stars, but as a large black sheet with holes poked through it, in which God's light was shining, our sun being just one of those many stars, conveying that each star is not a separate entity, but an expression of infinite spirit in celestial form. Here on earth, we call our star the sun, which also has a spiritual essence, just like our soul. The soul of the sun is to the sun what our soul is to our body. Our bodies don't confine our souls, and nor does its solar body limit the sun's soul. So when we talk about our solar light, we're referring to the spiritual light of the Creator that sustains life on this planet. Behind the physical sunlight lies a much finer vibration, which we seek to connect with and use when working with the solar light. The sun creates and sustains everything in our solar system. If we think of our solar system as emerging from the sun, the planets are fragments the sun spat out from itself and threw into orbit around itself. And in the same way, we are like bits of starlight. Just as the sunlight nourishes our physical world, it also plays a crucial role in existence. Without the sun, life as we know it would not exist. We are dependent on the sun here physically. The sun's energy is crucial not just for creating, but also sustaining our physical universe. The solar light, the light behind the physical sunlight, is even more critical as it interacts with the soul of our solar system. The solar light emanates from sphere 6 on the Qabbalistic Tree, as we've stated. This is called Tifereth. The solar light brings with it the power to heal and correct. When we utilize the solar light, we connect with an organized force that can reorder things in favor of the divine will rather than our ego desires. By harnessing this solar light, we invite the divine will to take precedence over our own personal agendas. This process is very simple. We just visualize this golden sunlight permeating what needs healing, our body, our mind, our home, or any situation. We allow this light to become one with the issue, acknowledging its power to heal and to reorganize. The practice is very simple, very quick, and it's very powerful. I recommend, if you notice that the solar light is something that seems to work for you, that you do it regularly, because like any skill, it strengthens with practice. Before addressing any issue in the physical world, get into the practice of immersing it in solar light first. Call upon this light, let it penetrate the problem, and then ask what action is needed. Frequently, the response is to do nothing and just to trust the process. At other times, specific actions will be indicated, allowing you to move forward with more momentum thanks to the solar light infusion. Rather than trying to fix it yourself, you first infuse it with solar light, and then if you are guided to have any action, then that action is impacted by the solar light. A lot of times our rushing in to fix situations is destructive, and as much as we want to help, it's not help, it's interference. The solar light is a tool to help shift from narrow-minded personal motivations to motivations connected to the soul, thus to our spiritual source. Working with this solar light gently changes the focus from personal will to soul-level perspective. The soul's approach to the body, for instance, differs a lot from the ego's. If you're struggling with something in your body and you invoke the solar light, then you're seeking healing and guidance on using your body in alignment with your soul rather than whatever your ego's purposes for the body are. The soul uses the body to communicate. That's the soul's primary function with the body, is to communicate both to you and to other people. For instance, we talked about before how frequently the body can communicate from our soul to our surface minds by us noticing how much tension we're holding in the body. The soul, in addition to communicating with our surface mind that way, can also use our bodies to communicate with each other, soul to soul. The ego will use the body for its own purposes. And there are many purposes that the ego will seem to use the body for, but they all boil down to using the body to feel separate from our source and to feel separate from one another. Even when it talks about joining, the ego will try to convince us that it's using the body to join with another person, but in reality, it's using the body to separate or to have conflict. Sometimes even when the ego uses the body to have a so-called loving relationship with another person, it seems on the surface that it's a wonderful thing. But when you look at the motivation, it's not to connect with that person. It's either to manipulate that person or to feel like you own that person or to try to make that person into something that your ego wants them to be, rather than purely connecting with who they are as a soul. It is a revelation when your soul reveals what absolute pleasure feels like in the body. True pleasure is free from tension and isn't something that you have to chase. It's perpetual and self-sustaining. Soul pleasure is endless, unlike the ego's pleasures, which tend to be addictive in nature because they end. And you're constantly seeking that fleeting experience that never seems to match what you felt the first time. Any kind of addictive behavior shows us what this feels like. It's different than how the soul experiences pleasure. The solar light teaches you the difference between your true self and your ego. Your true self is an infinite being spanning probably multiple lifetimes, probably existing for many different lifetimes from the perspective of our linear time here on Earth, and also existing beyond time. Unlike the temporary identities that might be forgotten in 100 years, many of us won't be remembered in 100 years, and that's so scary to the ego. But to the soul, that doesn't matter because what could or couldn't be remembered wasn't us anyway. So it doesn't matter. The true us, our true souls, can never be forgotten because they never die. Even if you achieve something very memorable as an ego, it's still going to just be a tiny part of a more extensive existence. So rather than striving for historical recognition, we aim to live a life guided by the solar light. Such a life transcends this lifetime, transcends our circumstances, transcends our ego, and it connects us to our essence as a divine soul, an expression of the great creative power that is the source of all existence. When we contact the solar light, it's not just about visualizing golden light, it's about connecting with the energy behind the sun, the foundational creative principle, the universal sun. It seems simplistic at first, but it carries profound significance. We are encouraged to be present in whatever situation arises. Doing so addresses the problem and our perception of it. But then we transform our perception of it by calling the solar light into that situation and allow it to change the situation, to reorder things and transform it into that which is a part of the divine design of our lives. People worry that they're going to be turning their back on their problems and being irresponsible when they call upon the solar light. But that's not it at all. You are very clear about what you perceive the problem to be. You go into the problem, you face it with your eyes open. When you call upon that solar light to take over for you, you allow your perception of that problem to be changed. As we engage with this power of the solar light, we awaken the distinction between our infinite being and our finite ego. The issue with the finite ego is that it's not eternal and it will eventually die. At best, without a body, it might linger and cause disturbances, but that's not our true self. That's not our true self at all. The ego mistakenly believes that it is us, and it wants us to believe that it is us, but we're not an ego. And letting go of our ego isn't something that is going to kill us. Remember that. You can prove this to yourself. Anything that you think you are, anything that you have a judgment about, anything in this world whatsoever, whatever it is that's ego-based, is observable. That part of you which is observing it is the part of you that'll never die. That's the you. Whatever you can observe is probably mortal. It's probably got an end in sight. But that which is observing it is eternal. And that part of you that is observing it is the part of you that's alive. And it can't die. That's why you don't have anything to worry about. You don't need to keep your ego alive. You can let it run its course, and you can let the solar light take care of all of it for you. The more we connect with our soul, the more beneficial we are to the world. One practical way to achieve this is by using the solar light, by focusing on what is before us and addressing whatever is there, whether it be discord, worry, fear, and allowing it to be permeated with that solar light. We start to view our lives as a soul and understand that the ego can't do that. The ego has no power. When you change your perspective like this, you're not just casting temporary magic on a situation to fix it until the next problem arises. By seeing the solar light and calling on the solar light, you're reconnecting with your true self as a beam of solar light yourself. You use that solar light to view situations from your soul's perspective rather than your ego's. And this is so powerful. If you use this constantly, you will grow very quickly in your ability to transform situations and to live as a soul and to disregard your ego and not be tripped up by it. So simple. Now, this isn't the only way to align with your soul instead of your ego. A lot of people will never hear about this thing called the solar light, and that's fine. It's just one technique that you can use. But I find it's a technique that's very helpful because it connects you with that sphere of Tifereth and with the universal sun. Think about the earth itself. It's not just a physical body. She has a soul, that goddess energy that allows us to live and learn here. Similarly, the sun and all of its planets are souls. And the souls of the planets and the sun are called angels or gods in different cultures. And in that way, the ancients were right that the sun is a god. Recognizing the soul behind the sun, they recognized that it was an angel or a god, not just the physical ball of light, but the soul behind it. Physical exploration of planets, like collecting dust samples on Mars, doesn't reveal the soul of the planet. The solar light is crucial because the sun is not a planet, but the source of all the planets in our solar system. The solar light reconnects you with the creative principles behind the sun and all the planets, which in many magical practices are called angels. The solar light connects you with the creative principles and the inherent intelligence of the sun and the planets, and helps you to know exactly where to go and what to do. It teaches you. That's why they're called teaching angels. As you learn to listen to the guidance of this solar light, and if you're working in angel magic, the voices of all of the angels that you work with, you recognize that this power doesn't need our help, but does need our permission to work on our lives. We build little private lives, little egos, to block ourselves from this spiritual assistance. We don't even realize that's what we're doing. We're becoming beings that are lonely, filled with problems, and scared, and feeling very separate and vulnerable. We don't realize that we've been working hard to build these private selves that are the root of our problems. Before we recognize that we have this help available to us, we'll turn to our egos to address our problems. And ego-driven motivations don't help us because we're looking to the problem to solve a problem. We're looking to illusions to wake us up from illusions. And a lifetime spent amassing wealth or seeking pleasures will leave us unhappy no matter what we achieve. These were never authentic sources of our happiness. In 100 years, most of us won't be remembered, which is, like I said, terrifying to the ego. But it's very reassuring to the soul because it proves our eternal nature. You are always remembered by the divine, by the solar light, by God, if you will. This God is a unifying force with both masculine and feminine aspects. This power can be approached in infinite ways. If it's serving the soul and not the ego, it's appropriate. The sunlight symbolizes the soul of the sun, guiding us from above. Our inner teacher is linked to the infinite intelligence of the universe, showing us what to do, where to go, what to say, who to say it to, and how to say it. When to be someplace, when to leave someplace. Listen to one of my meditations on the solar light. They are, 2 minutes long at the most. Learn how to do that simple process and then do it. And use that solar light on anything that you feel is a problem for you, no matter what. It can be a big thing. It can be a little thing. It can be a problem with relationships. It can be a financial problem. It can be a health problem. It doesn't matter. Allowing yourself to remove your own ideas about the situation and then calling upon the solar light and letting the solar light take care of the situation for us, we start to see our problems from a different perspective. I hope that it's something that you can enjoy for yourself and that you can experiment with and have as much success with the solar light as I have always had. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today. Until next time, blessed be.